I am so excited for this video because I already love reading as it is. I mean, I've loved it since I could learn how to read, but my English teachers and some of the English teachers that I've had have fueled my love for it like times 10, and I feel like I owe them the biggest love letter ever because some of the books that they've introduced me to are literally there's still books that I think about. They are still books that I would love nothing more but to write an essay on and do further reading for. And I feel like to be able to do that is such a wonderful gift. So this video is about books that my English teachers have introduced me to and books that I still love and I still think about, and I thoroughly enjoy, even though some of these books I haven't read or looked at for about 5 years. So pretty powerful books, but I definitely want to talk to you about them and hopefully recommend some. As much as I've analysed these, and I've been examined on them, they are books that can be enjoyed without having to study them. They are books that are, in my opinion, easily digestible to other people. Like, what does that mean? Like, they're easily digestible and they're easily enjoyed without having to study it. Okay, so I'm gonna organize or structure this video from oldest to newest, so from books that I studied first in English and then make our way down to the most recent. And the first section is GCSEs. So many people hate GCSEs, me included, absolutely the worst time of my life, easily hated it. But English and my English teacher, I had an absolute wonderful English teacher, and I genuinely think about her all the time. She was an absolutely amazing woman. She was so passionate and so enthusiastic about the subject that I was listening to everything she was telling me, even the books that I didn't like and the poems we had to study that I didn't like. I was still enjoying it because of my English teacher. Like, she is amazing, and I really wanted to reach out to her recently, but she left my secondary school and I have absolutely no idea where she's at. I think she moved to a different country, and I don't know whether it'd be like stalkerish to try and find where she is, but I just really want to email her. But regardless, the book that she introduced me to is a pretty popular book. I mean, I think everyone and their nan has read it for GCSEs, and that is Macbeth. Macbeth is a wonderful Shakespeare play. Since GCSEs, I've obviously read so many more Shakespeare plays, like loads, but Macbeth is still up there. I'd say it's in the top 5 for sure. It's Shakespeare's shortest play. I think it's only 50 pages, 51 pages, which is not bad at all. So it's easily readable in like an hour or two, depending on how quick or slowly you read. But I love Macbeth not only because it's written in a really universal way, like anyone could read it and understand what's going on, but also still to this day there is so much to be said about it, so many arguments to be had and to be argued. I actually studied a witchcraft and drama module in second year, and Macbeth was on the reading list, so I got to revisit it. But it was really fascinating because my lecturer was arguing that the witches in Macbeth are not actually witches. They are just some weird sisters, like a trio of sisters. And that was what the whole lecture was about, as well as, like other things. But it was really fascinating because I'd never read it through that lens before. And suddenly I was introduced to like the world of Macbeth in an entirely new way, with an entirely new different reading and different interpretation, which was super duper fascinating considering that I studied it 4 to 5 years beforehand, and like still there was more to learn, more to observe. I really enjoyed this. The basic premise of it, if you do not know, is that Macbeth is prophesized by witches that he will be the king, but he's not the heir to the king, so he commits regicide in order to obtain that power and to gain control over everyone. My favorite character in this is, obviously Lady Macbeth. Who else? She's incredible, although she has a very tragic very, very tragic ending, but she is wonderful. I guess there is just so much imagery and it's so rich in metaphor that so much can be said about it, which is why I still really, really enjoy it, and I would reread it in my spare time 100%, like easily. Love this, definitely read it. This was the first play I think that I read in my life, and it is still a play I return back to, and I really, really like it. And I would say thank you to my English teacher for introducing it to me, but obviously it's like the English curriculum, so it wasn't actually her. But I think the way that she taught it and the way she, you know, enriched me with her knowledge on it is kind of what drew me more to it, because I know a lot of people who studied it who still hate it, but I think this is an absolute masterpiece. This is not my actual edition of the book. My actual edition that I had during GCSEs is up on my shelves somewhere, but that is so annotated that the pages are literally falling apart, and I'm pretty sure you can't even read the play anymore because it's just so highlighted. But I came across these New York Shakespeare editions, and I have a few of them, and they are so beautiful that I've started to collect them. Very, very cheap. It was only like 50p, so you know, definitely worth it in my opinion. The next section is a very big section because this is my sixth form books. Sixth form is honestly like my Roman Empire. I loved sixth form so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a really hard time in my life. Like, those 2 years were foundational to who I am as a human being. I think like so much happened. I went to therapy, I did so much inner work, but in terms of study, every day I woke up knowing I had an English class just made me so happy, so ecstatic to be there. I looked forward so much to going to my English lessons at sixth form. I loved it. I had amazing teachers. I had 2 teachers in year 12, and then one of my teachers swapped for year 13. So one teacher I had for both years, and then a different one for year 12 and year 13. But they were all absolutely amazing, and I have actually seen them since. At the end of first year, I went back to the open evening and I said hi to all of them, and I literally like an absolute loser just started like crying my eyes out because I just missed them so much, and I loved talking to them. But I do keep in contact with them. I do email them every now and then, like not even like formal email, it was just like random things that I see that remind me of them, and it's like so beautiful. But those 3 English teachers that I had are like honestly amazing, like absolutely amazing, and they fueled my passion for literature so much. A kind of different type of passion than GCSE, obviously, because you study it at a different lens, but they really, really went out of their way to support me and to, you know, see me and to see kind of my work. And even when I was struggling and finding it really difficult to write essays and adapt writing styles, they were always there to kind of pick me up and to support what I had to say. So these works are pretty much, I studied 6 in total, and 4 out of 5 are like incredible. So let me talk to you about them because I love them. Okay, so for first year, for year 12, we did crime fiction, and we did Brighton Rock, which is the only book I studied that I absolutely despised. Hated it. I will speak nothing but foulties of that book because it was the worst book I've ever read in my life. Hated it. But all the other works I really, really enjoyed. I did Brighton Rock. I did Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge, which is actually a wonderful poem. A wonderful, wonderful poem. Really, really enjoyed it. But my absolute favourite out of all of the crime novels was Atonement by Ian McEwan. Now, let me tell you something about this book because there is so much to say, like as if I haven't said enough already. But this book is truly the most frustratingly amazing book I think I've read and studied thus far in my academic academic life. I hate to admit that this is genius. I don't really like Ian McEwan as much. I think he can come across as very arrogant, but the way that this is written. Like, it's just genius. Like, it's just absolute genius. And I hate to admit it. I absolutely hate to admit it because it's so frustrating. It's split into 3 sections. So we follow Bryony, who is 13-year-old girl, and she lives in a very typical crime setting. She lives in this big house in the countryside with parents that don't really pay attention to her, and she's kind of just left to her own devices, and she likes to create her own narrative. And turns out she creates such a big narrative that it ends up committing very tragic crime. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It is a non-traditional crime. It's not like, you know, something that you would suspect it to be. It's just very manipulative. And in the first half, it's her, you know, leading up to that bit. In the middle bit, it's we follow a guy, one of the main characters. He goes to war and kind of his life during the war. And then the last section, we return back to Bryony as she is older, and kind of how her life has taken a turn since, you know, her childhood, and how it's kind of formed her. And in those last, I'd say 50-40 pages, I wanted to tear the book apart. I wanted to rip them all out. I wanted to literally erase the lines off of the pages because it is so frustrating. Like, I cannot describe to you how frustrating this book is. I mean, I studied it, okay? So because I studied it, I have to look at it very analytically, and we were forced to kind of see the structure, why certain things are done, how things are done, why characters do certain things, what is the motive for this crime, how does it all psychologically play out, not just literally. So from every perspective of this book, in terms of its like construction, from like words to words onto the page, it is absolutely genius. Structurally, like language wise, thematically, everything is genius. It's just constructed and crafted so well. In terms of an actual pleasurable read, it is like awful because it is so unsatisfying. People do not get the payback that they deserve. There is no justice, which is obviously a part of crime and like an element of crime that we were looking at, but ultimately there is no justice in this book. No justice is ever given, and it is super duper frustrating. But I honestly think about this book like all of the time. Like, Bryony haunts me. Bryony absolutely haunts me. When I catch Bryony, I'm throwing hands because I have such big problems with her, like such big problems with her. So frustrating. And it's really interesting because a lot of people in my class actually disagreed. Not everyone, but there were a few people who could forgive her because she was young and whatever, and who could, you know, do that. And I think up to a certain extent you can, but then again, the last like 20 pages really solidifies the fact that to me you cannot. So I won't hear absolutely any argument that you can. I'm joking. I will always hear, and I'm interested to see what people say about this book, but I personally do not think she should be forgiven. This is annotated so much. This is my original copy. I think I have another one in a mass paperback copy, like the smaller one, but this is super duper annotated, and I really actually want to read this back, and I think I might because I just need to. I really do. I would be interested to see how much 3 to 4 years has, or maybe has changed my opinion of it. But this, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Pick it up, read it. I can't guarantee you that it will be a very pleasurable read, but if you read it critically and you actually like figuring out, if you like characters that are complex and narratives that do not, like, that aren't linear, I would really recommend this book. Like, it is geniusly written, and I hate to admit it because Ian McEwan is so arrogant and so full of himself for writing this book, but I can't help but be in awe of how great it is. Yeah. The next half that we did was in year 13. We split it into 2. We did all comedy, we did comedy like texts, and then coursework was on poetry. So I have a poetry collection and then like the comedy texts that we did. So I'm gonna go with the comedy texts first, and that is My Beloved Twelfth Night. Words cannot do justice how much this play means to me, and like I said with Macbeth, since studying, you know, this was the second Shakespeare play I've ever read, and since I have studied so much more Shakespeare, like I used to read like a play a week in the first year of uni, like it was insane. I've read so many Shakespeare plays, and still to this day, this is the best Shakespeare play. It's just the best Shakespeare play. It is his final comedy play, and you can tell because every single thing is thrown at it. Every plot hole is filled. Every feature of it is well thought out. It all links. It all makes sense. It is hilarious, like so funny. There are so many different like character types in this book that no matter who you're rooting for, you end up rooting for them all. You end up liking and following all of their like mishaps and chaos because you can't help but be enthralled. Like there is something so truly captivating about this play that I literally cannot let go of it, and I have reread this more times than I can even like count. I've reread this so many times, and it is still the best Shakespeare play. A few seminar leaders that I've had, I ended up speaking to them about Twelfth Night, and they also think it's the best Shakespeare play. There is something so genius about it. I mean, I would love to do a video on the comedy genre as a whole in literature, because it is not it's not really what people think it is, and is actually like a literature niche that I'm really into. But like comedy, I went into it thinking, you know, obviously having my own presumptions, but then I actually studied comedy, and it's very different than what you would expect it to be. And this book, like as much as it is entertaining and very comical, and you know things are messy and chaotic and it all kind of comes together, it is actually a very surprisingly dark read. It's not dark, but there's an underlining tone of humiliation and of shame, and I think the underlining factor of comedy as a whole is very dark. I mean, it's like a coping mechanism. Humor is a coping mechanism. It's how humans survive for so long. I could go on and on about the comedy genre because it's amazing, but this book specifically, I believe, does it really well. All characters are entertaining. All characters are entirely self-serving, apart from like one or two. I would say it's very queer coded, so if that's what you're into, read it. I've read a few queer readings and a few queer critics on Twelfth Night, and absolutely loved it, and I'm here for it because there's a lot of cross-dressing, a lot of gender bending, a lot of non-linearity that I really like to it. And comedy in terms of like theatre, in terms of performance and plays, is the opposite to tragedy. So tragedy, where everything starts off like, you know, perfectly, and then it ends up all falling apart. Comedy is the opposite. It starts off awfully, and then it all like resolves itself at the end. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Olivia, oh my god, the examiners, the exam board did us so dirty with the exam questions of the entire comedy paper. They really screwed us over. That like as soon as I finished the exam, me and my friend, we went to our English teacher and we were like, what the actual was that? What was that? We were literally like sobbing, crying, pulling our hair out. We were like, that was awful. Like, what did they ask us? Like, awful. And I will forever not feel the justice that I didn't get to write an essay on Olivia, because she's one of the best Shakespeare characters ever. I really love her. I was so annoyed, super duper annoyed. I actually got to study this as well in first year. I got to revisit it, but I was so frustrated because I was like, people aren't getting it. Like, it's a book that people aren't getting it, pick me, choose me, but like, it's a book that has to be read on multiple levels, and it has to be read multiple times, and fully analysed and fully enjoyed. But if you, I mean, you can do either. You can read it just for fun and for pleasure and still have a good time, but if you read it and look at it through like a studying perspective and truly look at every single word of every single soliloquy and line, you find so many gems that just proves why Shakespeare is still to this day so amazing and so, you know, revisited, because he just doesn't stop. Like his power and his influence doesn't stop 400 years later, and it's wonderful to see, and it's just a really, really good book. Again, this is not the edition I actually annotated. My actual edition that I annotated is on my shelf, but it is so annotated and filled out. I also have very funny and unserious comments that I write alongside just the play, so I'd be really interested to go back and read that like edition specifically. But yeah, definitely read this. I love my English teachers for introducing me to this, because I will never forget it. Never forget it, and still to this day it is the best Shakespeare play. I said what I said, it's the best Shakespeare play. Read it or don't read it, you're missing out. Keeping on the theme of plays, my beloved Oscar Wilde has to be mentioned. We also did The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde as part of the comedy genre as well, part of our comedy studies, if you will. And this is like comedy gold, like absolute comedy gold. It is set in a different era than Shakespeare. Obviously, it's Victorian literature, so an entirely different set of conventions, very different to Shakespeare's time, and people were a lot more conservative. People were a lot more like closed, and social structures and social hierarchy was a lot more prolific, and that is super duper explored. It is very explored in The Importance of Being Earnest. It's making fun of aristocracy, and pointing the hypocrisy and the flaws of the upper class, and how these characters deconstruct it from the inside and from the outside, and it makes for a really, really fascinating play. I mean, Algernon, all hail Algernon, because he is a fabulous, truly fabulous and divalicious character, for real. He is the biggest diva around, I think. He has some wonderful one-liners. I think the wit of Oscar Wilde is truly, truly unmatched. He has some absolute zingers, and I've got hair on me. He has some absolute one-liners that like really actually make you question so much. Like, it's, I don't know, the way he's constructed some of his sentences and his, like, you know, phrases are really, really wonderful. I really, really like this play. It's basically about two long lost brothers who figure their way out around a really strict aunt, and love affairs happen, things go wrong, as per usual, kind of what you'd expect. And in the end there's like a big reveal and it all works out completely fine. But I think the really interesting thing about this is the delusion, the sheer delusion of these characters. Comedy relies a lot on the characters actually believing in the shit they say, like actually believing in their like utter chaos and completely nonsensical ideas. I mean, like, Algernon's aunt is like, she's gone, like she's absolutely gone. She's lost the plot. She has some diabolical ways of thinking and some diabolical sense of politics, if you will. But she like truly believes in it, which is part of the comedy. It is in that ridiculousness that like humor erupts from, you know, and it's in that things start to go wrong and other things start to fall in place. Cecilia is also a hilarious, absolutely hilarious character. She's just as delusional in a completely other way. She's just brilliant. She's so brilliant. This is another play that I've actually read so much since I have finished studying it, because I need a laugh. I need a laugh. It is super duper funny. It is so hilarious. But at the core of it, kind of with Twelfth Night, there's a core of not necessarily suffering, but human critique, social critique. There is a core of understanding why and how certain social classes work and continue to perpetrate themselves in a negative way and onto other people. There is a foundation of a lot deeper underlining messages in this play, but it's done again in an absolute genius way. I think it takes a different type of genius to write comedy. You have to be very, very smart to write comedy, because comedy does not equate to funny. My English teacher drilled that into us for 2 whole years. She was like, comedy does not equate to funny. Like, funny is a byproduct of comedy, but it is not what comedy is. Comedy is deeper than that. It is saying something, and to actually be quote unquote funny and to know what to say at the right time and to know how to phrase things and to time things, it takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of reading people, a lot of understanding of truly how people work and how humans adapt and evolved and how they, you know, continue to make their way through certain events. And this is just proof of that. It is genius writing. Oscar Wilde is brilliant. I really, really like studying him because obviously you get to study his background as well. And he had quite a tragic trial and other things that go on in his personal life, which is quite interesting. I would definitely read around Oscar Wilde, like his personal life, because it's really, really fascinating. Before studying Oscar Wilde, I have read a lot of Oscar Wilde, and even after studying him, I read even more. He's just an amazing writer overall. He's written some incredible plays. He's very witty and really good linguistically. He's very good at writing like phrases and certain things in certain ways. So definitely pick up The Importance of Being Earnest, because you won't regret it at all. The coursework, this is how it worked. You studied 2 poets in 4 different strands. So the 4 different strands were Marxism, post-colonialism, eco-criticism, and feminism, like feminist writings. And we studied eco-criticism and feminist writings, but then obviously Marxism and post-colonialism you could still write about, and a lot of people did. But you get to study 2 poets from whichever strand we studied. So we did Sylvia Plath and Seamus Heaney, and then we picked one or the other to write an essay on, and then we got to write a whole separate essay on any of those 4 topics to pick. You get to pick your own book and make your own question as long as it evolves around one of those 4 things. So for the other essay, I ended up doing Marxism, and I did The Underground Man by Dostoevsky, and it was truly wonderful to write. So technically my English teachers did not introduce me to that, but they challenged me in that essay and to think differently and to write through a Marxist lens, which was really, really interesting. But in terms of feminism and feminist writing, Sylvia Plath really took the cake there. I was introduced to Sylvia Plath during my A-levels, and okay, let me just say something. I ring the sirens because I have an unpopular literary opinion. I think The Bell Jar is awful. Like, absolutely awful. I think it's terrible. I think it's an awful book. I think there are moments where it's written really well, but I couldn't let go of how discriminatory it was and how racist The Bell Jar was. It felt like every other page some other racist remark was happening, and there was a talk about just different things that weren't very nuanced. They weren't explored in the way that they should have been explored, which is quite sad because I was really looking forward to it because I really enjoyed studying Sylvia Plath's poems, and then I read The Bell Jar, and I was severely underwhelmed. I really want to do a video on my unpopular like literature opinions, books included, or like popular books that I didn't like. So I'll probably talk about that then, like more about it. But in terms of poetry, Sylvia Plath wrote some amazing poetry. She writes in a way that's sometimes very broken and very ambiguous, and it's very difficult to figure out what she's trying to say or what points are being made, but ultimately they read in a way that I think at the time were culturally very significant in terms of gender and in terms of female power and female writers. I think she points out a lot of sexism and a lot of female struggle during like motherhood and just different social expectations of women, and I think through a feminist perspective and a feminist lens, which is what we studied, there were a lot of nuanced arguments and a lot of different things you could say about Sylvia Plath. So I ended up writing about motherhood and self-confessional writing for this essay, which is turned out to be a really interesting essay and a lot of stuff to be explored. So my English teacher did introduce me to Sylvia Plath. She's not my favorite author. I wouldn't say I worship her the same way as I worship all the other texts. But in terms of like cultural, political, socioeconomic like context to the time she was writing at, I think she did a lot, and then she pointed out a lot of things. So if you keep in mind the context and the cultural significance of when she's writing, then it's really fascinating. I don't think you can read Sylvia Plath without looking at the context. Context is super duper important. But I really enjoyed some of her poetry. I really liked it, and I would not have read it had it not been for my English teachers. So thank you to them for introducing me to her. I will read a lot more of her poems. I really want to read Ariel, which is the first poetry collection. These ones are collected by Carol Ann Duffy. And there are a few other ones that I want to read, but it's collected by her husband, Simon Armitage, who's another poet, but we don't like him. Okay, we don't like him at all. But yeah, read some of her poetry. Poetry is not really my thing, but Sylvia Plath's poetry is very interesting and very analytical, very interesting to analyze it and look at it through a deeper lens. Finally, I'm gonna get to finish sixth form. We're gonna get to uni. I think uni is a whole different ball game because you study like quadruple the amount of texts. You don't have just one teacher or like 1, 2 or 3 teachers. You have like 10. There's those different ways. It's really overwhelming. There are lots of different books, so many books, like 30, 40, 50, 60 that I've studied in the past 2 years of my university degree. So I would probably have to make an entirely different separate video just for those books alone. But in first year, as I was saying, I'm a massive Shakespeare fan, and as much as I think Twelfth Night is the best Shakespeare play ever, this one comes pretty close. I read it and I just thought, wow. And that is Othello. I mean, come on now. Everyone knows Othello, everyone loves Othello. There is so much to say about Othello, so much critical writing, so many opinions, thoughts. This play, I really want to avoid saying, the word genius, but it is a masterpiece. And the only reason it came close to Twelfth Night for me is because of the character Iago. Iago is one of the most frustratingly amazing characters written, dare I say, ever. There are obviously other Shakespeare characters that also have the same like psychological conflict, like Hamlet, for example, but Iago, truly no one knows the motivations for. Absolutely no one. It is never there is no one side. It literally can be argued both sides, like not like both sides, but like multiple interpretations. Like he either loves Othello or he doesn't, like those kind of two sides. And kind of why is he so obsessed with Othello? Why is he so obsessed with ruining his life and causing chaos and planting seeds in everyone's head? Like, what is the main question is, like, what is wrong with Iago? What is his deal? What is his problem? What are his motivations for doing what he does? Why is he plotting on everyone's downfall? Like, why is the question that sparks up, and it's explored heavily in Othello, and lots of people have done it, have tried to explore and explain it, but truly you can't get to the bottom of it. And because of that, I think it's entirely captivating. It's so compelling. You realize you are actually following along with Iago throughout the play, even though you know deep down, or even on the surface, you know that he's wrong. You know that he's sick. He's sick in the head. You know that he's doing wrong, and yet there is some deep part of you that's just like rooting for his evilness, and it's entirely captivating. Like, Iago loves the sound of his own voice. He loves the sound of his own thinking, and it is so compelling to watch. Oh my god, on that note, please watch some of the plays that I've mentioned. Othello has some absolutely wonderful adaptations. The Importance of Being Earnest, also some amazing adaptations. There are loads of films and theatre adaptations that are really, really good. There's one where I can't remember who it's directed by, but wrong play. Oh my god, I'm losing the plot. Olivia is Twelfth Night. Olivia in Twelfth Night is played by, oh my god, I love her. Was it Helen Bonham Carter? Played by Helen Bonham Carter. That film, amazing. She portrays Olivia so well. This one, I meant Cecily. Sorry. Cecily is played by Reese Witherspoon, I believe. Really, really good adaptation. Twelfth Night, again, the one where Olivia is played by Helen Bonham Carter. Love that adaptation. But also, Twelfth Night, if you watch the 2015 Shakespeare Globe production with Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance plays Olivia. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that production. Ever since being at uni, they give you access to like all of like productions and everything, and it's like amazing. And the first thing I did was rewatch Twelfth Night as that production, and I might just buy it on DVD because so good, so funny. It's actually comedy gold. Like, it's literally comedy gold, and Mark Rylance plays it so well. Stephen Fry plays Malvolio, also an amazing cast. And then there are loads and loads of adaptations of Macbeth, so any of them are really, really good. But anyways, I was talking about Othello. Just an incredible play. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. This is a very popular Shakespeare play. It's popular for a reason, I think, but the reason why this almost made the best Shakespeare play, in my personal opinion, emphasis on personal, is because of Iago. The way that Iago is written, the way he carries himself, the way he does anything is the reason that this almost made it up there for me. It's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm actually so scared to look back and see how long this video is, because I feel like I've been yapping for so long. But truly, these books have changed my life, and I just want to say that, like, they haven't changed my life because the books are good themselves, like they are, but the reason why these books are so good to me is because of the English teachers who taught them to me, and because of the love and the passion they had whilst teaching these to me. Truly, they made me fall in love with these pieces of literature and these books and plays. And yeah, I'm not who I am without my English teachers. I love them. There are a select few English teachers who have genuinely changed my life. Not even just like academically, like personally, and just the way I think and the way I read. They have really done so much for me, and I love them and I miss them all the time. Why do I feel like I'm gonna cry? It really is that serious for me. I love them, and I think they're wonderful. And I think, you know, not just English teachers, if there are any other teachers out there who have really helped you and helped nourish you as a person and believed in you, that's very, very special, and hold on to that and keep in contact with them, because I can assure you they will love it. They will love it. And I think it's the teacher's greatest joy to see their students succeed and to see them love their subject even more. It's a job successful for them. And do it. Don't be afraid to ask all the questions. Don't be afraid to be quote unquote annoying in classes. Like, if you love something and you're passionate about it and it is something that you genuinely enjoy so much, and you want to know more about, pester those teachers, because they love it. They really, really love it, and they get paid to help you and to love you, and they personally get involved with your growth, with your personal and academic growth. Teachers, honestly, some of them are really terrible, don't get me wrong. I think there are some teachers who should have never been teachers ever, but my English teachers I think about all the time. I absolutely love them. They believe in me. They have said some things to me that I will never forget, that I really, really love them for. They're basically just like my Roman Empire. I think about them all the time, and I just love them. So these are the books that they taught me, that I really, really love the books, but I especially love the books because every time I reread them or think about them, I also think about my English teachers who taught me them, who inspired that love for them, who had that love in the first place to then pass it on to me. And I can only hope that I can do it to you guys and to other people as well, because I love it. This video is probably way too long now, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you around for the next one. Bye.